From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. Scientists now believe that small monkeys crossed 160 kilometers of ocean from South to North America before the continents joined together. Monkeys are closely related to apes and humans. Scientists believe they floated across the ocean on rafts. Researchers digging in Panama found 7 small teeth in some rocks. The rocks were more than 21 million years old. Scientists say the teeth belonged to monkeys that lived in South America. At that time, South America was not in contact with any other continents. Jonathan Block is with the Florida Museum of Natural History. He says, at that time, Panama was farther south than any other place in North America. He said the monkeys might have ridden on a raft or floating device. He says, without knowing it, the monkeys may have floated across on large vegetation. Block thinks these monkeys were the only mammals that were able to cross the waters from South America to reach present-day Panama. The strip of land, known as Isthmus of Panama, was formed about 3.5 million years ago. That isthmus, or land bridge, allowed large numbers of animals to begin walking between the continents in one of the biggest mixing of species on record. Block said, discovering that monkeys lived in North America that long ago was surprising. Scientists had thought that monkeys simply did not exist there at the time. For VOA Learning English, I'm Dan Friedel.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. Have you ever had trouble sleeping in a new place? Well, lots of people do. And now, researchers from Brown University in Rhode Island think they know the reason. They found that 1/2 of the brain remains more awake when people sleep in a new place. The researchers say the brain is watching for possible danger in a place that is not well known. Volunteers told researchers they have a hard time sleeping on the first night away from their home. It is called first night effect. The researchers measured brain waves for 35 participants sleeping in a laboratory for 2 nights. The 2 nights were separated by a week. They found that only during the first night, the left half of the brain was working more than the right half of the brain. This was during the first deep sleep period, the researchers say. The brain behavior is not exclusive to humans. Ocean mammals and even some birds can have similar difficulties with sleeping. Yuka Suzaki, one of the report's authors, says a lot of questions remain unanswered. Researchers did not measure brain waves all night long, so they don't know if the left half stays alert without rest throughout the night. They also do not know why the alert half of the brain, at least during the first period of deep sleep, is always on the left side. Some people may be happy to know their brains are looking for danger as they sleep. But that extra brain work may prevent a healthy night's rest. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Asian Americans make the most money on average of any racial group in the United States. Asian Americans are also the best educated racial group, says the latest U.S. Census Bureau report. 54% of Asian adults in the United States have a college degree. That is true of 33% of the country's total adult population. Immigrants from East Asia, Southeast Asia, and South Asia, and their children born in the United States represent about 6% of the U.S. population. Eliza No teaches Asian American Studies at California State University, Fullerton. She says many Asian American immigrants have educational training and economic resources to invest in their children's education. No also says that Asian Americans believe that education can help them get around barriers in the labor market. But not all Asian Americans are highly educated. A 2010 report studied Asian Americans in California. It is the U.S. state with the highest Asian population outside of Hawaii. The report says some ethnic groups from Asia have problems in the United States. In California, 45% of Hmong, 40% of Cambodians and Laotians, and 1/5 of Fijians did not get a high school education. The report partly blames poverty and a limited knowledge of the English language. It says those two conditions increase the risk that students will leave high school before completing their studies. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. A new report shows consumers spent $461 billion globally on counterfeit and pirated goods. The report says that type of illegal trade continues to grow. Counterfeit and pirated goods are illegally made copies of products. They are made and sold without the permission of the owner. Intellectual property rights, such as copyrights and patents, are forms of ownership that can be difficult to enforce in international trade. Counterfeit goods can travel through many countries before they reach the place where they are sold. The OECD says the amount of money earned from fake goods may be higher than the illegal drug trade. It warns that the sales of pirated products may even finance terrorists and criminal groups. The Deputy Secretary General of the OECD, Doug France, says the sales of such products provided some of the financing for the terror attacks at the French magazine Charlie Hebdo. France also says that counterfeiting creates products that endanger lives. He says examples include auto parts that fail, medicines that make people sick, and toys that harm children. Products from the United States, Italy, France, Japan, and Germany are the ones most often copied. China, it says, produces the most counterfeit goods. However, criminals are also illegally copying Chinese-made products. 34 nations in Asia, Europe, and North and South America are OECD members. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. The European Space Agency, or ESA, has plans to build a permanent base on the moon. The space station already permanently orbits the Earth. The ESA says it would like a permanent moon village to be in working order in 20 years. Jan Warner is the Director General of the ESA. He says the name Moon Village was chosen to help the public understand the purpose of the project. The official says the village will bring together people with a mix of skills and knowledge. He says building a permanent base on the moon is a test for a visit to Mars. The American Space Agency, NASA, is working to send humans to Mars in the late 2030s. Countries with existing or developing space programs are expected to take part in the Moon Village. This would include the United States, Russia, China, and India. Warner says the village would be used for scientific experiments, mining, and even holiday travel. The ESA says a lot could be learned from areas on the moon that have not yet been explored. And the moon holds information about the environment where life in our solar system began 4 billion years ago. Warner says the moon's own minerals and other resources would be used to build and support the base. It has been more than 50 years since humans visited Earth's only natural satellite. Apollo 17 commander Gene Cernan became the last man to walk on the moon on December 14, 1972. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Persutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. Living among trees, flowers, and other plants can fill your life with beauty. And if you are a woman, it might also help you live longer. Researchers found that women who live in homes surrounded by plants have lower death rates than women who live in areas with less greenery. The Harvard University's School of Public Health reported the finding. Peter James is an expert there on epidemiology, or disease spread. He and his team looked at information from one of the largest and oldest investigations of women's health, the Nurses' Health Study, which began 40 years ago. It now has information on nearly 200,000 women. For the new study, the Harvard team looked at death rate records of more than 100,000 women between the years 2000 and 2008. Then they compared the women who lived among the most vegetation and plants to those who lived among the least green space. They found in that 8-year period, the women who lived among a lot of greenery had a 12% lower death rate than the other women. Researchers said women in greener areas spent more time with others, exercised more, and were exposed to less air pollution. For VOA Learning English, this is the last health report from Learning English TV. But we are not going away. We will continue to bring you videos to help you learn American English. Go to learningenglish.voanews.com to find new materials and to look for past Learning English TV reports. I'm Carla Babb. Thank you for watching and learning with VOA Learning English.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. New technologies may change the way people watch movies in a theater. Instead of watching a film on the screen, audiences could enter the scene and watch the action on all sides. This is the promise of virtual reality, or VR, and 360-degree video. The idea is to make you feel like you are in the movie. Video sharing websites like YouTube and Vimeo already offer VR films. To watch, people wear high-priced headsets that cover their eyes and ears. There are other lower-cost ways to see VR films. Many people use their smartphones placed in a special cardboard box. Then they hold it up to their eyes to watch. VR headsets are also being used for travel video. Watchers feel as if they are on the ground in another city without ever leaving home. A company called U-Visit has films that advertise trips. It can also help people who cannot physically travel but want to experience other places. At the recent South by Southwest Media and Technology Conference in Austin, Texas, companies showed other new movie technologies. Japanese NHK Media demonstrated their 8K resolution 3D or three-dimensional film. The sound system for the film used 24 speakers. As music played around the people watching, sharply detailed images appeared to jump out of the screen. A company spokesman said the video and sound system cost $500,000. Theater owners will have to decide if they want to invest in these new technologies. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Strong writing is one of the most important skills for any college student. Many non-native English speakers have no idea what American professors expect from a college paper. Such a paper can often be 20 pages long or more. Even native English-speaking students struggle with how to succeed when writing about complex or difficult issues. Deborah DeSasso is the Writing Resource Coordinator at the University of the District of Columbia. She helps students reach the level of writing that college professors expect. DeSasso says college writing is very different from what many students experience earlier in their education. A credible source provides verifiable information from experts. This may include details from books, newspapers, interviews, or studies. Students are often unprepared for the amount of research they have to do for a college paper. In a traditional paper, the first paragraph often contains the thesis statement. This is a one-sentence summary of the paper's main argument. The first paragraph of a college paper, or any paper, is usually the most difficult to write. The first paragraph is also the most important because it will guide the structure and show the voice of the entire paper. But not every type of writing is the same. DeSasso says that the best idea for anyone who wants to improve his or her writing is to read. Reading examples of the kind of paper your professor expects you to write can be the biggest help. For VOA Learning English, I'm Dan Friedel.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. An international team of scientists and business leaders have announced plans for a modern space exploration program. It is called Breakthrough Starshot. The team includes British physicist Stephen Hawking and billionaires Yuri Milner from Russia and Mark Zuckerberg of the United States. The goal is to reach Alpha Centauri. It is the nearest star system to ours. Alpha Centauri is 4.37 light years from Earth, or about 40 trillion kilometers. It would take about 30,000 years for the fastest existing spacecraft to reach the star system. But Breakthrough Starshot imagines a new kind of vehicle to travel the distance in just 20 years. They call it a star chip. It would be very small, about the size of a computer chip. Strong lasers on Earth would power it through space. The star chip would cost under $1,000 to build. It would carry cameras, power supply, and communication equipment. The star chip would also have a light sail, just a few atoms thick, to help move the chip forward. Together, the chip and the light sail are called nanocraft. The Starshot team envisions the launch of a larger spaceship carrying thousands of nanocraft to release in space. Freeman Dyson of the Princeton Institute for Advanced Study is among other scientists linked to the project. He suspects the star chips could collect a lot of interesting information before reaching Alpha Centauri. He says that they would not be traveling in empty space. Dyson adds that there are thousands of objects between us and the closest star system. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. The new SAT college entrance test is in use. Last month, hundreds of thousands of high school students took the newly designed test. It is getting some positive reviews. High school students who took the test say the new SAT is more direct. The new test places less value on the command of language. More value is given to everyday learning and detailed thinking by students. On the old SAT, students lost points if they estimated or guessed the wrong answer. On the new SAT, students do not lose points for guessing the wrong answer. The College Board is the organization that produces the SAT. The new SAT continues to test reading, writing, and math, with special value given to detailed examination. Students will have to show that they have an understanding of ideas in different situations. Overall, there are fewer questions, 154 on the new test, plus 1 for writing a short story or an essay. The old test had 171 questions. Students will have a choice about whether to write an essay. A perfect score is 1,600, with a separate score for the essay. Lee Weiss is with Kaplan Test Prep. He says students should not skip the essay. Many of the top universities look at the essay. Students should write their essay in a clear, orderly style. The College Board has teamed up with online educator Khan Academy to offer SAT examples to get ready for the new test. It is free for all students online at www.khanacademy.org. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.